You guys know how excited I've been for season 2 of Netflix's Lock and Key because I haven't shut up about it since season 1. And there's so many great characters to talk to from the show. And I thought to myself, we got to get Jackie on. So that's exactly what we did. Genevieve Kang, how you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
So Genevieve, last season there was like a lot of character introduction, a lot of fans getting familiar with the setting of the show. So did things kind of feel different when filming started for this second season?
Yeah, pretty different in terms of because I feel like Jackie very much came in as this character that Tyler was very much getting to know. And so when you find them in season two, it's like some time has passed. And so everyone's just a bit more settled into their roles and things are a bit more established in terms of relationships. So, yeah.
And speaking of settled, I mean, obviously the Locks, they think they've won, they think they've defeated Dodge, everything's good now, everybody's happy. So we're kind of seeing Jackie and Tyler in a really good place to start the season. Am I right? And what's your favorite thing about the relationship?
I think what I like about the relationship, it's interesting. It's no different than when I think of relationships I've had over the years, but in terms of like Jackie, as much as Jackie is very much somebody who wants to see the best in people, and she's so sweet and warm. She also kind of like has her way of putting Tyler in his place, and I think we see that in the first season in particular. And so I think though with Tyler getting more settled and realizing over the course of the first season as well, kind of like what he wants and who he wants to be, there's just a nice like back and forth, and I think they complement each other so well in terms of kind of calling each other out on their stuff, which we might see a little bit more of in season two. I think even again in the other way, like where Tyler's maybe having to confront Jackie with some things as well. So yeah, it's I think it's a dynamic relationship. We're seeing like a real relationship versus I think because as high school students we can just see things kind of like one noted on television a lot of the times, but I don't think that's the case with the relationship that our writers have created for them. So
It's interesting too because sometimes I have to pinch myself and remind myself that you guys aren't actually college students, that you're high school students. So because I think that it feels a little higher up there. Does it feel that way to you too?
yes, because in high school I definitely didn't. I don't think I had the maturity or the charisma or the charm that but we see that I guess that is something we do see on television a lot is sometimes the characters are a little bit maybe more mature than what is real. But yeah, I still think we do a pretty good job of keeping it grounded in reality, but yeah, a little bit. I guess yeah, it can come off as a
Well,
little bit.
you guys got lucky. It's not impossible. There are pretty mature high school students, so you guys are just a couple of them. That's all.
Right, there you go. Yeah.
So Jackie certainly warmed up to the idea of the keys in season 1, and they could certainly be fun. But and again, we're not going to spoil anything here. But could we actually see the keys maybe present some problems for Jackie and Tyler in their relationship coming up?
Uh, yes, possibly. I mean, I think so. Something we do explore in the second season is with the prospect of and it comes up obviously in first season, but with the prospect of Tyler and Jackie reaching their 18th birthdays, and as we know. Once you become an adult, you can no longer remember the magic. So there's definitely some exploration there in the second season with the keys and again, just in leaving first season and Jackie's obviously been exposed to the magic now. She's not freaking out quite the same.
Mhm.
So I think there's definitely more of a curiosity there for her about learning how to work with these keys as opposed to just resisting the magic. So yeah.
Yeah, and anybody that saw last season's finale, you know what's going on with Gabe and with Eden. Gabe is Dodge, and Eden is a demon now. And here's the thing though: Jackie's known Eden for a little while now, and certainly longer than any of the Locks. So do you think she might actually be the one that kind of starts to realize, okay, something's off with Eden here?
Yeah, I think so. It definitely comes up in season two because yeah, Eden has a pretty big transformation. I think as we'll see in season two, and it has been teased a little bit as well in some of the promo. So yeah, it's certainly something that gets brought up between Jackie and Eden throughout season two.
Talking to Genevieve Kang, who of course plays Jackie on Locke Key, season 2 of Locke Key, which is now streaming on Netflix. Genevieve, I've got a favorite episode of this season already. I want to know what your favorite episode of the season has been in season 2.
Oh my gosh. Uh, I know my favorite. I can't even remember what episode it is though. If I had to say what number of episode it is, but I do have, yeah, I definitely have a favorite. I mean, I have a favorite I think that I enjoyed filming the most, and then I also have like a favorite that is just a favorite overall in terms of the storytelling and what's happening to everyone's characters. So
Well, have you
yeah.
all gotten to see that finished product yet, or are you still kind of waiting like the rest of us?
No, I mean, we will see snippets. Obviously, when we're making it, we might get
Mhm.
to see a little bit of playback, and then when we go in and do ADR at the end, you might see a little bit. But I have not seen anything. I think most of us haven't seen anything. And like even just in terms of like the trailers and the teasers that come out, we maybe get notified within like hours or 24-hour period of it's like this is coming out tomorrow by the way, and so we don't really get to see anything beforehand. So it's just as exciting for us to kind of have the show come out on Netflix and yeah, to get to watch it.
Very cool, very cool. So a little bit of behind the curtain stuff on you. I actually saw you started doing open water swimming not too long ago, which is terrifying to me. That's like the equivalent of rock climbing with no ropes or something. It's just scary to me. And I love swimming too, and I think I'm pretty good at it, but that would scare me to death. You're a surfer too, so I guess those kind of things go hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, surfing is to say I'm a surfer is maybe a bit of it's very generous. I enjoy surfing. I think it's a lot of fun. I love being in the water. I love the ocean. That's like primarily why I moved to Vancouver. Was just to be more to be closer to the beach and to the water. And yeah, this past summer though, I took up open water swimming because I grew up swimming competitively. So swimming is very natural to me, but I remember I was at the beach one day early in the morning and I saw people going out in wetsuits and just swimming laps. And I was like, well, this is really cool. Like I'm so used to swimming laps in the pool, but if you can do it in the ocean, why not? So I literally went home and Googled open water swimming Vancouver. And then I came across more information and met somebody to basically get a coaching in terms of safety. Cause that's the main thing, obviously.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
The open water is, being aware of, marine life and then also like boats and that sort of thing. So, but it's fun. Yeah, I love it. It's kind of like a meditation for me. And same with surfing, like to be out in the water and to be just getting thrashed by the waves. It's like you feel like at some moments you feel like you could die, but that's also when I feel like I feel the most alive. It's because you're just like, no, I'm okay. And just got to swim to the surface. And it's, it's exhilarating and lovely.
Totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. It got me thinking, though. I don't recall hearing about Jackie playing any sports or anything like that. What do you think she'd be good at as an athlete? What do you think? Because clearly she could be an athlete.
Yeah, well, actually, in the first season, she's on the track team. But it's funny that you say that because it's not like emphasized. And so I think a lot of people forget that that's a thing. It's just like it's mentioned. And I don't know if you remember, but she planned that 5K race, right? It's like, it's
I forgot it was a thing. So that's why I said I didn't recall. Clearly I forgot. So
yeah, it's barely like acknowledged. It's not really fleshed out. But it's interesting that you asked because also when I was auditioning for the role, it was like emphasizing the breakdown. She's a track star. There was one of the scenes that I auditioned with actually never made it into, I guess, one of the final scripts, but it actually emphasized also her befriending Kinsey a lot more. Like she and Kinsey met on the track team. And so I guess they obviously went a different direction in terms of the story and everything, but apparently she's a track star.
I would like to see more scenes with Kinsey and Jackie, though. I think that's a cool dynamic that could be explored.
Yeah.
So I also saw somewhere though, and this made me laugh, and I'm sorry it made me laugh, that you're obsessed with Martha Stewart, which I think is interesting. So let's take it and let's roll this into the show a little bit. Would you use the head key on Martha Stewart?
Oh my gosh, yes. Absolutely. Oh wow. Yeah, I've been obsessed with Martha Stewart since I was like a little kid. When I was like 7, 8, I used to I was just obsessed. I watched her show. She had a show called Martha Stewart Living.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
So all growing up, I religiously watched this show. I loved her magazines. Yeah, I mean, she's like, in my opinion, she's also like the original influencer. She's just like, of I guess homemaking. But yeah, I was pretty obsessed with her and still am, but for a bit, you know, in a different way. I just, yeah, I find her so fascinating. Every part of her, even the part where she went to jail. I just find it so interesting.
It didn't even dawn on me about her being like one of the first influencers. That's such a good point. I never really thought about it that way, but you're totally right.
Yeah, just yeah, before social media, you know.
Right, exactly, exactly. Now, Genevieve, before I let you go, I was talking to Meredith and Carlton the other day. They actually mentioned you've already finished filming season 2, which good news for fans. We're happy about that. That means we might get it sooner. We're not going to talk about that. So, actually, how much are you looking forward to fans seeing what happens next? Because you've been there, you know how much are we going to freak out?
I mean, a lot happens in season 2, so I think audiences are going to be both pleasantly surprised, but also and just like so satisfied. I think yeah, from coming off of season 1 and into season 2, we just the stakes are higher. There's more tension, more conflict, more magic. Yeah, I think there's just more of everything, and it's not just about leaving a cliffhanger at the end of the season. But we have cliffhangers like trickled throughout the entire season. So I think, yeah, audience is going to be very happy.
Well, you got to get through season 2 first. So make sure if you haven't already catch up with season 1 of Lock and Key on Netflix, season 2 now streaming as well. And we'll see what Jackie's up to throughout the whole season. Genevieve Kang, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.